So welcome everybody. Thanks for coming to our second MakeWater meetup. Today's meetup is all about equity in STEM, and we have Sadie from Energy Breeze here to do a presentation today. This is sort of a new initiative for us where we want to just connect more with our collaborators, the community, educators, other nonprofits, and try to revolve around a topic, but kind of have it somewhat loose and a little like somewhat casual so that, you can like give your feedback and participate. And then we share these videos online for those that can't make it. And we want to see how this grows and how we can kind of evolve this to just really have that conversation with our community and grow that. So thank y'all for coming to this meeting. Let's see. So we are actually going to, I have to remind everybody that this session is recorded. And if you have any issues with that, just, you can turn the camera off or turn the mic off. There will be parts where we do mentee slides is what they're called, where we interact with y'all. Y'all can log in, or not even log in. It's a really quick link, and you can participate with some questions that we're going to have just to get y'all in the action and part of the actual conversation in that way. So again, today's meeting revolves all around equity in STEM. I would like to start with the icebreaker activity that Ume has put together from Sumi Communications. So let's go ahead and start with that.
Yes, I'll share my screen. Yes. You can quickly go ahead to menta.com and enter this code, or you can use the QR code here from your phone and join us through mobile. Both works.
9160377. Oh, cool. Okay.
So our first question is, are you more of a pool person or an ocean lake kind of person?
I knew these questions beforehand, but I still don't have a good answer. I don't know if the voting is working.
Yeah, because it says select as many as you want, but then there's 0 options to select.
Okay, just let me adjust that.
Well, I will say, I guess I'm going to lean on lake person. I just went to Lake Michigan, and I grew up, my mom grew up in St. Joseph, Michigan, right there by the lake. It's a little town on the lake, and it looks like an ocean, and it's fresh water. It's always really cold though, but I feel like I got spoiled, like, because I thought it was so awesome. And then I went to the ocean for the first time, and it was all salty, and I was a little kid, and I was so surprised by how salty it was. So I was like, oh, I gotta say lake is my favorite.
Looks like you're not alone. Look at that. Lake is pulling ahead.
Some Lakers fans. Cool.
I'm the one ocean, I guess. I love the ocean.
Out there
It's
now.
so exciting.
Yeah.
I was struggling because I'm like, I love the beach, but I'm like a little scared of sharks and not a strong swimmer with all the waves. But I love laying on the beach, but I'd rather swim in the ocean or in the lake.
Yeah. Cool.
We don't have the option here, but I'm from Turkey, and we don't have oceans here, but we have seasides, which is my favorite. No sharks, but we still have the beach, so it's the perfect combination of both.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
nice.
Okay.
This is the most beautiful beach or waterfront location you ever visited. Puerto Rico.
That's me. I just went there recently. One of my best friends, her family's from there, and so she showed me around, and I was like blown away. I had no idea it was that pretty.
Oh, I want to go to Puerto Rico one day.
It's cool.
Vallarta. Yeah.
Good one.
How do you pronounce that, Ume?
It's Fethiye.
Pitya.
Fitye.
Yes.
Oh.
I have a typo in my response.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh man.
Cayucas, California. Have you all heard of it?
Mm-mm.
I never heard of it.
It's Central California, West Coast. They call it the last quintessential beach in California. But I just love it because the beaches it's a public beach, so everyone has access to it. It's probably not the most beautiful, but it's like I love the vibe there. And my husband's family has like this little cabin that's like almost 100 years old that we go to. So
Oh,
rustic.
Amazing.
It's really fun.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you for your answers, guys. This was all for the icebreaking questions. Now I think we can move on to the next part, right?
Yeah, okay. So the next part is actually if you would like to introduce yourselves and just share your interest in STEM or the topic of STEM and equity. So, my name is Ryan Beltran. I'm the founder of MakeWater.org, the nonprofit, where actually a lot of what we do is bring hardware and tech that revolves around STEM and these water purification kits. And we try to get those to students who are lower to middle income, so that a lot of times these places don't always have these sort of codable kits or interactive programming like we have. So that's sort of kind of the crossover for me for this. I'll just go down the list and I'll say, Claudia, you can go next.
Okay. Hi, I'm Claudia. I am the project coordinator with MakeWater, and I've been with the team for a little over a year now. It's been great. And a lot of what we do is about equity in STEM, like Ryan said. I think one of the things that I love most about this program is that it takes this kind of abstract, like STEM concept and put it hands-on right in front of a student, and they can sit down and look at it and go, oh, I understand the steps. I can break this down. I can be a part of this. And it makes it something that's not just this like out in the open kind of abstract idea, but something that's right in front of them that's concrete that they can tackle and build confidence with. So that's something that I really appreciate about our program, and something that I want for all young students to know that they can and they do STEM every day, and STEM's a great part of life. So yeah.
Thank you, Claudia. Well put. I appreciate that. That's cool. Next up is Ume.
Hi all. I'm Amaya from Smith Communications. We mostly work with nonprofits, small businesses, and NGOs, and we help them with communication work. So everything you see on social media or written on websites, we help them get the word out, so that they can just, I think, enlarge the impact. And yeah, we've also been assisting MakeWater with their social media and establishing a digital presence for them. And equity is an important part of our jobs, because we also focus on diversity, inclusion, and equity in all areas of work, and try to help, like I said, businesses that focus on DIY. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Ume. And next up is Sadie.
Awesome. My name is Sadie Bronk. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a for-profit company called Energy Bees. And we are an energy efficiency consulting firm working all over the country. And founded in 2017, but in 2019, Energy Bees became the founding sponsor, and we are the implementer for Bee Project. You see a theme with bees here. And B stands for Best Earth Ever Project. And we're dedicated to training the next generation's green workforce while creating equitable pathways to green jobs. So you'll hear more about that later. But my interest in STEM, I fell into the utility space, like this really boring energy space. Randomly, I'm a communications major. However, I've grown to love it. Everybody needs it. But I don't think we're attracting young, talented, diverse minds to this industry. And it's always been a passion of mine to bring those minds to this industry. As I was working up the corporate ladder, I also did not see myself in CEO, C-suite, board member positions. And after I had my son, that just also elevated my inability to see myself in that space. So I thought, if it doesn't exist, I'm going to create it. So that's how Energy Bees was formed. And yeah, STEM is all around us, and never thought I would be here today, but I am, and I want to show others that they can too. So.
Oh, that's great, Sadie. I feel the same way sometimes of like, I didn't know I would be here where I am as a filmmaker now, nonprofit education related, STEM related field. It's wild. And so next up is Lauren, if you'd like to share.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a communications manager. Right now, I'm a contractor, but I'm trying to break into the climate conservation field. So I was referred here, and what drew me to this meetup is my background. I'm a former journalism teacher, and also I used to work at the Museum, which is our children's STEM museum here in San Antonio. And kind of like what Claudia and Ryan, what you were saying, the mission of the museum was all about bringing STEM to students and making it tangible and accessible, all about kind of tinkering. And what I loved most about the museum was a lot of the projects that we worked with the kiddos. We used like objects around the house, right? There wasn't anything inherently expensive or hard to reproduce for the children. And so it seems like that experience kind of ties directly into the work here. And so I'm excited to learn more about the organization and hopefully just get involved. I want to kind of just absorb today.
Great. Thank you for being here, Lauren. And it's good to hear about your background, and the museum's awesome. We take our kids there all the time. Let's see. Carlos might have audio issues. I don't know if you're there, Carlos. Okay.
Hey, Ryan, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah.
Awesome. Well, good evening, everybody. Oh, there it goes.
Hey.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks for the invite. I guess I'm in the same boat as Lauren. Always been a big fan, and I think this is a great opportunity for me to get more of that exposure, and see how I can contribute to all the good work that you all are doing. My background is primarily in business support, business education, just helping people start and grow their businesses, primarily here in the San Antonio area, but across the country and in a few other countries as well. So just looking to absorb everything and see what I can do to contribute and do my part.
Thank you very much for coming, Carlos. I appreciate it. Good to have
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. So, okay. So next up, we're going to go ahead and move right into Sadie has created a presentation, or she's going to kind of take it from here and kind of get into what she does. And she talked a little bit about that already, but it's going to revolve around equity in STEM. So I will go ahead and let you take it from here, Sadie.
Awesome, thank you. And just so you know, I may have my colleague Lene Anderson maybe joining us. She's just running a little bit late, finishing up some other meetings that we have. But if she pops on, she's our program associate. She works for Energy Bees, and she also helps implement programs at Bee Project as well. So she's been with Energy Bees since March, so going on 5 months, 4 months. So fairly new, but we have very similar backgrounds. It's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And what I'm about to share with you today, just want to make sure everyone can see it. This is a review of a program we just ran in Brockton, Massachusetts. I knew nothing about Brockton when we arrived or when I heard about this area, and I started talking to colleagues and tapping my network in the Northeast, and everyone said, "Oh, you're going to Brockton?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" It's pretty rough, you know, like it's a tough place. And I was like, okay, so you know, the Jack and Kathy Shields Foundation, they give there, and they also give in the Florida area. And B Project and nonprofits, we run our programming. We have to go to where, you know, the programs where a lot of our sponsors and funders want that money to go. So we have a national presence. We did get started right in San Antonio. CPS Energy was one of our first sponsors through the Smart Energy Education Foundation. And we worked very closely for a couple of years with Cass Tech, launching our first program in 2021. We've ran 2 rounds of Green Job in Classroom Green Jobs programs. I'll talk about what those are. And then we ran 2 rounds of summer internships with high school students, which is pretty cool. So I'll talk a little bit about that too. But as you can see, we're all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's all over our logo. We love the equality sign because it kind of stands for energy. We're really a lot about energy and saving energy. If you save water, you're saving energy. Save energy, you save water. It's this energy water nexus. And we're starting to sprinkle some food waste in there as well, because it's all synergistic, as we know. So this is how we're bringing equity, diversity, equity, inclusion into the classroom and bringing these programs to the places that need it. I've already shared our mission. Again, we're just dedicated to training the next generation's green workforce, but creating equitable pathways to that. We believe that every job is a green job or has the potential, but we need all different individuals to be joining this fight against climate change. And we believe, you know, I'm a communications major. How did I end up in STEM? And, you know, I use it every day. I'm in spreadsheets. I'm looking at design, architecture. I'm looking at just science is all around me. And I never thought I would be there. I was doing journalism in college, right? It's crazy. But it's important to have an understanding and know that, you know, design, technology, all of these can be green jobs, and that's the most important part. But we have to get, I kind of like go out to STEM and recruit these folks into my industry, and I'm helping them put together resumes, LinkedIn profiles, creating those connections at a very young age. And LinkedIn, that's all kind of part of our program. So I don't think of myself as a big like STEM person, more diversity, equity, and inclusion, but I'm just like always immersed in it. I feel like we work with environmental science classes a lot of the time, if that makes sense. But my whole industry is based on STEM and engineering and that sort of thing. So when we launch a green jobs program, we always like to outline what our goals are. You know, we're all about creating equitable pathways to green jobs. So in a green jobs program, and the places that we're going to, we just want to raise awareness that these jobs exist and show just the pathway to walk through to start your journey towards that job, and expose students that are in environmental science classes and relate the science to a job, right? And how they can use that to save the climate. And so we bring industry professionals into the classroom, and we bring hands-on projects like Ryan's MakeWater kits into the classroom. It's one of the highlights of the program that our sponsors, the students, and the teachers love in the classroom as well. And so as I take you through this, I'm going to show you how the mind shift kind of changed of the students that we were working with. And this was just a 2-week pilot. They met 5 days a week for an hour. And we had curriculum all throughout, and actually went and met them in person as well. So we started the Green Jobs program with these students. It was 3 environmental science classes. We were at a Brockton high school that's an alternative high school. Kind of, they say project-based learning, but this was really, these, like when they say alternative, this was the students' last place to be before dropping out. So a lot of these students have been kicked out of traditional high school paths due to violence, lack of attendance, a lot of different bringing weapons to school, things like that. So it's a tough environment to be in. But the first thing we do when we get in there is we ask students, you know, when we say green job, what are the words that come to your mind? And so these were the, you know, the bigger the word, the most it was said in our surveys, right, that we took. And so we wanted to see what it was in the beginning versus what it was in the end. So again, we're all about energy, and you don't see energy anywhere in here. You're like, okay, energy is a field we can go, but we love earth, plants, wind, trees, environmental health. We love those words too. But again, trying to raise awareness around energy, water conservation, jobs. So very quickly about our curriculum. We partner with a lot of, we pull curriculum together to support our mission, but we're partnering with other nonprofits. At Bee Project, we love partnering. We don't want to recreate the wheel. There's lots of curriculum, amazing environmental climate change curriculum out there. Thirst for Power PBS series, amazing for videos and content. Love that. We've been partnering with them for a really long time. MakeWater, we got introduced through Smart Energy Education in our work in San Antonio, and we've used that in every program. Again, a highlight of our program. And we work a little bit with this like hybrid in-person online approach. We always go out and kick off the program in person. The students need to see you. They need to see that you're there for them and build trust. We went for 2 days, introduced ourselves. We were the industry experts that they got to meet, and we brought in additional industry experts in week 2. But we got to connect with students right off the bat. As you can see in this picture, there's not a lot of students in this class. There's usually should be anywhere, I think he said like each class had about 10 maximum, but it varies. Like attendance in alternative schools varies widely. So it's important that you understand that and, you know, give opportunities for them to catch up and, you know, post things, working with the teacher to post things and make sure that they have the opportunities to access them, even if they're not physically in the space. Because they may be there, you know, in other days later, and you don't want them to be behind. But the great news is, look at all these students that were participating. They heard about the experiment on day 2, and they spread the word with the community, and a lot of them ended up showing up. This was a pilot, so we were experimenting with this. At first, we put them into groups of students working together on the experiment. But what really took off is when we gave them their own experiment together and then kind of collaborated after talking about the experiment. So they couldn't zone out, they had to participate, they couldn't fall asleep, it kept them awake. You know, a lot of these students are struggling with tough home life, you know what I mean? And not getting the sleep that they need at night or the nutrition that they need. And so school is the safest place for them, potentially. And they fall asleep a lot. It's amazing. So keeping their attention every 10 minutes, having to change it quickly, even 5 minutes, changing the activity is really, really important. So understanding that. And the only way you know that is by getting in the classroom. I am not a teacher at all, but I learned so much, and collaborating with the teacher as well. And the hands-on experience is the way to go. And so the second week we brought in South Coast Wind, is actually a large wind turbine, offshore wind turbine plant that's being permitted right now and will go into construction in 2026 in South Brockton, the port there. That's where these jobs are going to be. So we wanted to showcase South Coast Wind and bring in their community liaison as who we brought in to talk to the students about the types of jobs that would be available in the coming years, about when they should be slated to graduate. So making that connection, they always give away, you know, some things, you know, like pencils and things like that, you know, from, and the students love when they get free stuff too. So we also showed them some work from other interns. So what you see on your page here on this slide is this 5-minute shutdown. The poster, this was created by a group of interns that we had a couple summers ago. And we just wanted to show the work that these other interns are doing, students just like themselves, and the impact they can have in a school building. These posters were hung in every single high school classroom in San Antonio ISD that year. And that QR code goes to a website and a video that they promoted on energy conservation in the classroom just by shutting things down. So pretty cool, reusable poster. They're still up today. If you go out to Cass Tech and other high school classrooms, they're right by the light switches. It's pretty cool. Any questions so far or comments?
I think it's great. It's great to just see it laid out and hear some of the comments after the fact. Yeah, but no questions at the moment for me.
Awesome. So yeah, that's just an overview. Again, a quick 2-week pilot. So much work goes into this prep work. It's all in the preparation. We worked months on getting all of these components together and working with our funders to you know, figure this out. Aligning the curriculum with the Department of Education, the Massachusetts Department of Education, and getting it approved through the school board. I mean, just for a 2-week pilot, this was a crazy amount of upfront work that I don't think a lot of sponsors and people outside of the work that we're doing understand, you know, the time commitment associated with that and the cost associated with that to get that together, right? They just see the 2-week pilot. Oh, that was only 2 weeks. Well, it was really 6 months worth of work, right, to get there. It's an important component to remember. But out of this is my favorite, is that these are student quotes and feedback. And I was shocked from the feedback. Initially, when we first walked into the classroom and this young woman sitting in the back, almost asleep, she raises her hand. She says, "Wait a second, what else are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, nothing. We're here to see you. Like, we're doing this Green Jobs program. This is what." Whoa, you came all the way from Texas just for us? And I said, "Yes, yes, we did." She said, "Oh," and she didn't fall asleep the rest of the class. She was there. She asked 3 more questions, engaging with us. And she was thrilled that we were there, you know, to be there. And that's what it's about. We show up for them, right? Like showing them that they're important and that, you know, they have a place to help combat climate change. And there's a path for them to get into this industry. What's an internship? We defined what an internship was. So students understood that, you know, you don't always necessarily need to go right directly to a 4-year university. There are apprenticeships, there are internships where you can explore jobs and see what, you know, you can do with that. And someone also had, he really has a goal to be an electrician. So he was really interested to talk to us and communicate with us about how you might go down that path. And he was also excited to connect with the community liaison because he's graduating in 2 years, of like what kind of electrician jobs would be associated with this offshore wind turbine. He did say he was afraid of water though, so that might be a problem. He's like, "Oh, I gotta sail." Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I think the face-to-face time is invaluable. So the next slide here is just the key takeaways from this particular opportunity that we had. It's hard unless you're in person. It's always good to run a pilot, I think, at a particular school, especially if you don't know what you're running into. We even told students, this is a pilot. We're testing this out. We're bringing this here for you. Give us your feedback. I asked them to give us like what they liked, what they didn't like, and they didn't say one negative thing. I was shocked. They had every opportunity to write negative things and they didn't, but they just liked that we showed up for them. That was the most important part. And again, every 10 to 15 minutes had to mix it up because once they get bored, they tune out. These were ninth graders, but we really needed to provide more, it was more intermediate curriculum, potentially, you know, 7th, 8th grade level for reading, understanding vocabulary, those types of things. And working with the in-classroom teacher was really nice because he helped us review our curriculum beforehand, you know, gave us some really great feedback on how we could adjust it for the students that we were working with. And that really helped a lot too. While we were there, Brockton School District has an $18 million deficit right now. And while we were there, every teacher got laid off for the next school year. And some of them got pink slips, which means they're not coming back, while others got a blue slip, which means they aren't quite sure where they're going to be teaching, but because they have tenure, they can teach there. And so it really disrupted the students because they didn't, their school, this makeshift kind of building they were in, they also don't know where they're going to school next year. That wasn't communicated. So they were asking us questions and others questions. So there was a big distraction. And I bring that up because you never know what you're going to face. So that was day one. On day two, there was a total school lockdown due to fighting, a major like brawl that happened right outside of the classroom. And so, you know, those things happen when you're working in areas that need these programs the most. These are the things that you're going to be challenged with, and you got to find ways to be memorable. Remember that the fact that you're showing up is really, really important for students. So through all of those challenges and really getting in there and showing them how they could use their science and math skills and environmental science in the workplace. So day one is the first top slide, and at the end, the yellow or the blue is what they said at the very end of the 2 weeks. They got it. Energy, water, waste, wind, recycle, power, renewable, healthy, earth, farming, green. It shows a level of, I think, like sophistication around the topic that occurred. And to me, I was like, they got it. They got this relationship. We talked about where their drinking water came from, how it gets treated, that it takes energy to do that. You know, and then tied the MakeWater kit of cleaning water with that it takes energy to clean water, and that there's that major relationship there, and they loved it. So that was the program that we ran. And I just want to pause before I want to do a time check, and then I also want to just make sure that I answer any questions you might have.
I think that's great. I'm just, for me, I'm resonating with the show up and be there, and like, you know, going all the way from Texas to be there, and how, you know, you're doing it because you're thinking of the program, but then that aspect and how much that means. I'm glad that you kind of repeated that over and over, because it really is like there's all these things underneath these layers of what you're doing. And I you know, we felt that too. We went out to Atlanta once, to the high school, South Atlanta High School, and it was such a great experience. And at the same time, it's like, I think part of it was showing up, and it's like kind of clicking a bit more now, hearing about this project and you going out there and being there for the students in person, especially with a lot of like virtual crossover stuff here. That in person is just so important whenever possible. I know after we went to Atlanta as a small nonprofit and like just looking at like budget and how much did it cost to go out there, thinking like should we do this again? Can we do it virtually? But no, it's like if you can and it's possible to get out there, it really does make sense to get out there.
Yeah, we've kind of combated that. You know, I would love to take this program nationwide. I mean, I have such big visions, huge visions for this. But you know, my vision is to have, you know, a representative show up for the first 2 days of any program. But then you're also bringing in local industry professionals that are right in that area, know the area, you're prepping them. So you build a connection with the students, but then they're also getting face time with local professionals as well. So you show up for them, you build that trust. This was our first program, so Lene and I both went. You know, if we did this round 2, it would just be one representative from B Project, and then we'd bring in more local to reduce some of those travel costs. But that's, and then bringing on industry experts remotely. We also learned, Ryan, we could do the experiment in the classroom in 1 day in that time frame and use the videos you provided. Would have been, you know, powerful to save your time too. Like we can play with some of those things. That's why I think piloting is so important, which it differs depending on the environment that you're in, how long the class time is, like, and so you don't know until you try as well. So, and that's all about bringing the equitable pathways to green jobs. These students did not know that this stuff even existed. They didn't know where their drinking water came from and that there's jobs in energy and water to make that happen, or that electrician and an internship and all these terms. 9th graders, they're going to take those words, take that to the, you know, and just keep building on it and maybe even seek it out a little bit. So we're planting the seed, which is also difficult in our, you know, people want to see immediate results. Well, how many students have gone on to college and gotten a green job? Well, we are tracking that, but it's going to be a while, right? They're in high school. Most programs are focused on community college or college age students. Or elementary school students. And so high school sometimes gets forgotten with these programs because they're tough. They're tough to capture their engagement, but I think they're needed the most. Do I have a little bit more time? I have like this other thing I want to share with you that we've been doing.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Please.
Okay, so that's the Green Jobs program. And the other thing we've been doing on the for-profit side, and has actually kind of been like a bit of, it hasn't really moved forward like I thought it would. We had created this character named Dr. K. Watts. I think we're going just to Dr. Watts. And the idea is that she is this kooky character, kind of like and I'm so old, you know, Back to the Future and crazy guy, right? Doc. But she does experiment and with energy. And this is for a younger audience, 6th grade and elementary school age. You know, and this was for a utility program. CPS Energy started to pick this up. We actually ran with them, and then they did end up cutting the program, not because of us, but just because of political things going on. But she would go to schools and do, you know, an experiment, bring that STEM, like a light experiment, maybe a bicycle, someone riding a bike and seeing the light up, or maybe we could do some MakeWater stuff, show the water energy nexus. And then they take home a kit and they have these Save Watts cleans. They're not stickers that can stick to like light bulbs in the shower to remember to save water and energy. I tried so hard to find a real image of a young woman in an authoritative position with, you know, of color, and cannot find one. There is some illustrations, but a live actress like this is like a, you know, a photo you can pull off the internet, a stock photo doesn't exist. Isn't that crazy? A real live character, can't find it. It's wild to me. So We were going to cast her as a Latina woman, you know, and gave her this whole backstory and everything. So it never got into the field, which I was so sad about because it was really a great program. But this year we have 3 high school cast tech students, and I talked to them as interning for us through San Antonio Family Services. And I said, you know, had kind of this issue with this character, and I want to bring her into the digital space. You know, how can we gamify her? How can we show her in with, you know, to expose her to a new demographic? What can you guys do for me? So they're currently in the process of conceptualizing her. They have provided a new backstory. They're providing an illustration of her, thinking about a website for her, what her YouTube, TikTok content may be, and also rolling out a concept for a video game. Where she will help those, you know, think about, raise awareness around energy, water, and food savings. So I have to show you, this is not my work at all. This is a preliminary design. They're continuing to work off this, but this is the work of cast tech student Marguerite, and she has conceptualized the new Dr. Watts. And as a Latina woman, and she's going to be rolled out, and I'm hoping I can take her to market at some point. I'm starting to look at even reaching out to the EPA and the Energy Star program and things like that work in schools. Again, this is on the for-profit side, but I mean, isn't this tremendous work for a junior in high school?
Yeah, it's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, and she's really inspired to make it happen. So I wish I had the final results. We're not going to get them for another 2 weeks. They're still working, but yeah, I just wanted to show you the great work that they're doing through some guidance. I know I couldn't do it, obviously. I needed them to help me out. So they also changed her little sidekick to a bee. So it's Dr. Watson Bee. And they're continuing to write out that story of how they met and why bee is so important to Dr. Watts.
Oh, that's so cool. I like hearing also the backstory and how you're developing it and what you're overcoming and how you're moving forward. That's cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So that's what we've been up to. We're always looking to connect, expand our programs, bring them to new places. There's my Energy Bees logo. You notice we also have a little equality sign in the bee bottom there. Yeah, happy to answer any questions, and that's what I came to share today.
All right, any questions? Okay. Well, Sadie, thank you so much for, what was there a question? Oh,
Not a question,
okay.
but just that thank you for sharing that. That work sounds all super exciting, and I think just how you all are working to make these ideas very tangible for the students is that's awesome. So I'm excited to learn more about that, about your program and your work.
Thanks. Yeah, let's be sure to connect on LinkedIn. I tell my students that all the time. Let's connect on LinkedIn.
Yeah, please do drop links in the chat if y'all want. Cool. Okay, Sadie, thank you so much for sharing that and really having our meetup revolve around that and touching on equity in STEM. It also gives me more ideas and things that I might like reach back out to you about in the future as we collaborate further. Yeah, I wanted to sort of get into the next phase of the meeting today. And so I think we can go ahead and move to, let's see. So I kind of touched on a little bit of what MakeWater has done in the past. I think we're going to move on to maybe the next Mentimeter. What do you think, Ume, Claudia?
That sounds good.
Yeah, kind of jumping a few ahead, but I think that's good.
While I'm pulling that up, I wanted to ask Sadie, you mentioned that you couldn't like find an actor you wanted, but do you see that gender inequality? I mean, we see it in the workforce, obviously, but do you see that in classrooms in terms of like our female students are more, you know, maybe less enthusiastic towards the subjects than male students? Do you ever see that the younger generation, how they're doing? Because it's been a long time since I've graduated high school, and I don't know how the youth feels about like subjects around STEM now. So I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, and I do want to just pause there for a second. So we could have found an actress. We didn't get to that point, but just like the image to show the concept of her, like we couldn't find a stock photo online of like a crazy kooky scientist, you know, a woman of color, like with that like in STEM in a leadership position. I was like, that is wrong. Like even on the Google searches of like a live photo, and it just struck me because we looked pretty hard and you know we needed something quick just for a concept to get the idea across, so that was kind of tough to even get that idea across. When it comes to having females in, you know, high school classrooms more excited or less excited than males, I don't think I'm a good meter of that, because we show up usually with a strong female presence. And so the females get excited about it. So I see equal excitement from both of them, both genders, in the classroom. And, you know, I almost think that when we do get applicants for internships though, it does seem to be more male heavy. So that's what's interesting. Like in the classroom, we're interacting and everything, but when it comes to the internship applications, we usually have a higher ratio of male students to female students, if that's an indicator. Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you, women leaders in this area, getting other women excited. So
yeah,
glad to see your work.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm just sharing my screen now, so you guys can go ahead and join. Just a sec. Yes. You can again use the website link or the QR code. Okay, I think we can go ahead and move on to our first slide. So this is a word cloud activity we're doing. You can enter some keywords that you think of when you think about equity in STEM. This made me think of what you said, Sadie. It's like the areas that need the most practice, this piloting, are the areas that are most challenging. So it's, I think people that are in this should be able to, you know, just go ahead and embrace the challenges, because I think that's what it takes. It's never going to be that easy, or the field work especially. You're never going to get the full access to everything, but you just gotta create opportunities with what you have.
Yeah, and you never know until you really dive in and try some things out of what's going to resonate or not, and keep iterating. Don't try to get perfection off the bat because it never really goes as planned. So you can plan, definitely plan, but have like plan B, C, D, E, you know, all the way to Z, ready to go in your back pocket.
I'm sure you didn't see the school shutdown coming. Oh,
No,
yes.
and you know, something that really, something that to say this, I mean, it was shocking. You know, that's probably the most unsafe I've felt in a long time. And for a lot of those students, that's their safest part of their day.
Yes, exactly.
So you think about, you know, do they have time to go research what an internship is, or, you know, get exposure to that? They don't. And so, you know, that's why showing up for them is so important.
When you think about your safety, that's really, that doesn't leave you any time or motivation to look for any other opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a good word cloud here. And can move on to the next question. This is an open-ended question. We kind of talked about it, about gender inequality, but what bias or stereotypes have you observed in STEM fields?
My slide isn't advancing.
I'm not having a problem.
That's okay.
Yeah, maybe we can just go ahead and say it instead of writing it down too, if anyone else has this problem.
I think just thinking, you know, that the only job in STEM fields is engineering, you know, that it's only engineers. If you're just on an engineering track, that's it. I come across that a lot. And yeah, oh yeah, women aren't interested in math. You know?
Exactly. I think it's a like a universal discourse, because where I'm from, we have this it's kind of tragic, but joke around how there are so few women in engineering faculties and universities. It's all just, you know, males, and when they see a woman student, they get surprised. Males kind of like the male students were joking about that while I was in college, and I think it's a harsh truth. Yes.
That just made me think, like, when I first went to Alaska, I don't know, I think I was in high school or something, but I don't know why. I just, you know, you're used to seeing so many male construction workers like that just seemed to be like what I grew up in. And I went to Alaska, and the ratio there, like, there was just so many women in construction that it like just caught, like, it was just so, like, you wouldn't have noticed it if you lived and grew up in Alaska, but coming to visit, I was like, wow, like that, it made me realize back home that it was just so like a male dominant, like, I know it's not exactly STEM, but it kind of is, you know, engineering and building and stuff like that. And just getting back to this subject and bias and stereotypes, it made me really think of that memory unlock.
I also think
you go ahead, Lauren.
I was just going to say, I also think there's a misconception of what technology even is. I remember from my work with the museum, when I would first ask the students, you know, what is technology? A lot of them believe it's, you know, strictly electronic based things like computers or laptops, but, you know, any tool, anything that we create that helps us solve problems or or make our lives easier, those things are also technology. And so I think that can sometimes keep people from pursuing a field like STEM, because they may feel almost like, well, if I'm not good with computers, or, you know, tech savvy is the term, they feel like there's not a place for them there as well.
I also, I think this can be true for male parents too, but when I became a parent and working in a STEM field and surrounded by men, they didn't relate to my new, like, found, I'm a mom now, like that's a whole new identity that happens, just like fathers do. But I think the system is set up more for males, as traditionally has been. It's not that they don't care, it's just they just don't understand that it's so structured to them. So I feel like women tend to have to like work and adapt more, like it's harder and you have to adapt yourself more to this, to that, versus maybe meeting in the middle somewhere with adaptation and coming to terms with that. So that's a bias, I think, of just, you know, well, just, you know, be one of the guys. I don't want to. You be one of the girls.
I think that's what happens in all male dominated areas. Women, if there's only one woman or two women, they tend to be a part of that male group, instead of, because they feel they see that the system is built around that. Yeah, the boy group is pretty much everywhere.
But my husband is a teacher and he is surrounded by more women. And sometimes, you know, he feels left out and not adapted to. So it goes both ways. So we need to like consider that too. Any field that you're in, that, you know, we're adapting to each other and somehow meeting in the middle. There needs to be like more classes on communication.
Okay, for our I think this is our last question. Yeah, we have one more. What are some potential barriers that hinder progress towards equity in STEM? I think we already talked about in access to certain tool. Yes.
Oh, I actually got out of there. Lack of funding for programs like this. That's what I wanted to put in there. If someone could type that in for me. Lack of funding.
I clicked one and it kicked me out, but I was going to say funding as well. Yeah. And it's also one of those you don't know what you don't know type of things. We did some testimonials with some students that ended up going into environmental science majors, and they did it because of their high school teacher who we worked with. I mean, we did our project with them, and partially it was like us working with them, but it's just the luck of the draw of having just a really wonderful champion teacher sometimes is huge. And just they kind of said they didn't know that it just didn't even occur to them to think about like jobs in that field, and they had so much fun in that class. But until it was like brought up that, oh, you can continue doing this if you enjoy it. It's not just something you learn and now you got to go do something else. So yeah.
I also think putting too much on the classroom teacher, I think that's one of the things that makes our program stand apart. You know, there's a lot of curriculum out there, but just dumping it on the teacher, you know, they're dealing with burnout. They're dealing with the things in 2 days that I got so like, you know, getting laid off, you know, the lockdown, like they have a lot of other things on their plate too. They can't just go all of a sudden learn all of your curriculum too. So bringing programs in, but also supporting teachers in that journey is so important. But again, that does take funding. Yeah, funding, access. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Sadie, because that's really that balancing act where you want to not make it harder for the teachers. Like if you're implementing something, you don't want it to be more work for them. You want it to be as easy for them to implement, or even like you're doing a majority of it for them, or and that's that balance too that we are figuring out, or always kind of tinkering and evolving, because also each educator isn't the same as the previous. So everybody, some want to be more hands-on, some don't, or are too busy. Maybe they wish they could be, or their hands are tied because of other things, even if you had the funding to go there. So there's always there's always different scenarios that you got to be ready for.
It's managing that relationship and meeting them where they are, I think, is so important. And we try to just integrate with what they're already doing. After that first initial meeting, and we kind of get the temperature of where they're at on the spectrum of involvement. We ask them, hey, can you send us what you've been doing in the last month? Like, give us access to, and then we try to mimic using our curriculum, infuse it and mimic it into their style. So it's easier for them to review. It's easier for them to tweak. It's easier for them to give you feedback, because it's not like new people in their classroom.
We welcomed our main guest was an amazing STEM teacher in our first MakeWater meetup, and she was the only STEM teacher in her county, if I'm not wrong. They had school teachers, like you said, I'm sorry, class teachers, but she was the only one that teaches STEM, and she was collaborating with the class teachers, and even that was a lot of, like you said, burnout, trying to incorporate the existing curriculum. I just remember I witnessed a real STEM teacher talk about that.
I'm a little bummed that we couldn't get any educators today, but it is the summer, so let them have their vacation,
Yes.
But we would love for this to be that type of place where, had there been some educators here, they could in real time give feedback, or at the end, because that a bit of that happened last time too. Was we had three educators on, and so hopefully as we grow and we do this, we get more participation. But I also like the kind of small group, because then we could chat a little bit easier together, in more of an intimate environment with smaller people. But that's what this sort of meetup is all about, to see how we can foster those, having this communication with each other, with organizations such as yourselves, and these questions that Ume's brought up are great for this topic.
I think we're a bit over time.
Actually,
yes. Do you want to move on to the last question, or we can just wrap up too?
I say let's go ahead and wrap up, just for time for everybody here. I thought this was a really great meeting. Sadie, it was really wonderful to hear more about the project, but hear it in detail. And I look forward to doing more with you in the future. I will say that we're gonna end this for the purposes of the video. If anybody does want to stay and chat after, I'm open to doing that. I wanted to sort of just say my gratitude for y'all coming here today, and just being here and wanting to hear each other out, and sharing some of your experiences as well. Thank y'all so much for being here.